Hello and welcome back to Tiny Table Talks. We're here every week on Spotify and YouTube, so be sure to check us out. Last week, the Tiny Table Talks team talked about books, what books we read, the books we don't read, and whether or not comic books count. This week, we're talking all about jobs, the jobs we've had, the jobs we have, and what could potentially be happening to jobs in the future as a result of this pandemic. As always, we are adhering to social distancing measures and have conducted this episode via Zoom chat. Here we are now talking about jobs. My name is Ariana, and I'm in the Zoom with 4 people.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sabrina.
Hi, I'm Chloe. Probably here for the last time. It's been a pleasure.
Hi, I'm Maeva. I'm back again for another podcast.
Greetings and salutations to any living beings still out there. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Ben and I'm here to do a podcast. I hope that's what we're doing, or else the flyer that I found on the street in the middle of the day lied to me. Well, let's go right into this then.
So, first question, in your field of study, do you find that looking for a job has been easier or harder?
I think, like, no matter what your job hunting, what kind of job or career that you're hunting for, it's never easy. I mean, there's never anyone, even the best times, like out on the city corner, like handing out like jobs with health and dental that'll fulfill all your dreams. You gotta go out, you gotta hunt for it. So I think, like, even if you are someone who finds yourself very, very prepared, a prodigy, if you will, in whatever kind of industry you are, it's a lot about both, finding the right people and finding the actual exact, like, right place for you. But most importantly, too, it's a lot of, self-exploration, where you have to really decide you really have to decide personally, like, oh, do I really want to find myself here in this exact position? Do I really want to be a carpenter or an apprentice for the next 5 years, or do I want to go something else different? Do I want to work in an aquarium? I don't know. You have to figure it out. So there's always struggles both internally and externally.
Do you think that any kind of schooling might play a factor in whether finding a job could be easier or harder?
Well, like, what, university?
Yeah, could be university, could be college, any kind of courses that qualify you for anything.
Well, yeah, universities helps, like, just about everyone there. Like, it boosts up your job prospects, even if you're taking, like, philosophy / sports marketing. Even those programs that are, like, famously kind of programs. No offense to those people, but the programs that are usually known for not having too many job prospects after, no matter what, there's still a very valuable bit of experience that just about any one interviewing you for a job would look at and say, like, oh, that's very interesting. That's some great bit of experience that you've got there. So, yeah, of course university helps out. Of course school helps out. That's the whole reason the institution was built up.
The name of the university, as you said, I think it really matters. Like, because it's related to what you were saying before, networking. Basically, if you apply for a job, if the HR is from your former school, like, you have more chance to get the job. And it's the same, like, I'm gonna give like big name like that. If you go to Harvard or like biggest one, you have like exclusive party where just exclusive people go, and you have the exclusive jobs. But yeah, I mean, there is a networking at each level of the different schools. I just give the biggest example because it's the one that gets into my mind straight away.
Yeah, that's true. Depending on, like, I know some schools are more known for, like, certain fields. So I feel like if you're going to a school that's known for a certain program and you're studying that, then you get, like, a whole bunch of, like, resources, whether it's, like, co-op opportunities or, like, the alumni network. What kind of jobs have you all had just growing up?
Customer service, food and service. I think that the ones that high school kids generally usually have around that age, I've had.
Yeah, like where?
I've had a retail job in the mall. Yeah, so it was quite busy. And then a food and services was a little cafe, so I was a barista for a bit too.
That's
Okay.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just 18, 19 now.
Yeah, just turned 19.
Because
But I
it's
didn't have the
easy
job
for
for long.
it's easy for people in Canada to get a job, like student job before 18.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do. A lot of people in my high school did at least. I think what was the age where you can start working? Was it 15 or 16?
15.
I think it's 16.
It's 15.
Yeah, I started working when I was 16.
Yeah, I started
Oh,
working when I was 17.
18. Because
Because
in
in
France,
France,
like they don't give you the opportunity.
Oh, really?
How come? Just like law?
It's
it's
like
pretty difficult. Yeah, to find a job. Like my sister, she wanted to get a summer job and she got rejected to like every position that she applied for.
Oh,
In
just because of his age?
my sister is like 21.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm not sure why, because she wanted to do like retail jobs and stuff like that, but I think they're looking for a specific like program that people are like, for example, in France, people can study sales and stuff like that. So I think they're looking for like a specific um like education for their
Mhm.
job position, I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the job world is getting like more and more specialized.
Yeah.
Seems like
Yeah.
even for like middle tier jobs now, it's like unless you have this undergraduate, this bachelor's, and this associate's degree,
Yeah.
we won't even let you through the door.
Mm.
Yeah, it's nuts.
yeah, me, I got my first job after I did an internship abroad. And I think it helps because it was a first experience. And if I didn't do anything before, they would have never taken me, even if it was I started working in theater.
Mm.
But yeah, many people that were working there, they had like the degree in it's just a high school degree in sales,
Hmm.
specialized in sales or
So you can
yeah.
already specialize your degree like while in high school or
Eh,
your diploma?
Okay, so in France, after high school, you can like either choose to go to university, like to a specialized school like business schools, but also you can just continue like I think it's 2 years after graduating high school. You can stay like in high school, but it's like more focused on, for example, sales or banking or something like that, right?
Yeah, but also
Yeah.
like there is people like when you are in high school, you can choose to take like things more like theoric, like
Mm,
economy
yeah.
or literature, math. But there is people that straight away during the high school they are doing
Yeah.
professional stuff. I know my cousin. She was learning sales when she was in high school. It's called professional high school degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess that's why it makes job hunting a lot more or a little bit harder. Something that really helped me was I think volunteer experience because we have to have that for high school. So automatically when I was applying for jobs, they already saw like I've done like a couple things here and there, even if I wasn't paid. Like I still had like references and people that they could talk to.
So I guess like given any job history you've had or like volunteer history, etc., what's the skill that you could say you've gotten out of doing these things or like skills?
I feel like we're in a job interview right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
it's the same
like
question.
what do you think about your volunteer experience? And as always, here I am sitting, sweat dripping down my face. I don't know, okay? I just want to get paid. Mm.
Hmm.
But no, if I had to sum up the experience that all this gave me, I guess for the most part, like it all, in a lot of ways, it all boils down to confidence, and just like sort of like uh, being able to lead yourself, like because when, like I said, like at the very beginning of grade 9, when volunteer hours came into play, I said to myself, "Holy shit, I can't do this. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do." But then, of course, when you're faced with a problem, you realize more often than not, it's a fight or flight kind of response. You either have to take it on, or you have to get the hell out of here. And more often than not, um, like anybody here, I took it on, and that made me say like, okay, if I can manage like these 40 volunteer hours in my in like one sorry, in like only a couple of months, then I could probably like hold down a 9 to 5 desk job in like another year or two, or I could work like 40-hour work weeks at like retail, or hell, I could become a CEO one day.
I can definitely agree with the confidence part. I think working customer service jobs has got me just like more acquainted with like speaking to people in general, because I think you don't really realize as a kid how small how small your circle is, because it's just like your classmates and then your family, and for the most part they treat you nice, but they're not gonna like get mad at you if you like make some small mistakes. But the thing is, like in public, people might, especially if it's with customers, because they don't want to waste their time, stuff like that. So I think just getting accustomed to that, and just how like society runs as a whole, and just like not, I don't want to like, this sounds bad, but not like getting in the way of other people, and or just how to like deal with like bigger situations or like bigger issues, and how to like work things out with people. I think that's definitely one of the biggest things I've learned.
I worked at a Shoppers Drug Mart, I think, for a few months after I graduated university, just to get some money flowing in. And just even by doing those few months, like my patience went just skyrocketed, because you have to deal with all kinds of people. And before, like, I never considered myself a patient person, but then after that job, like, it's Saint-like.
Yeah, just like any sort of like jobs with like long shifts just immediately boost up your work ethic, I find. Like I got into a food service job like sort of my like the summer in between finishing high school and starting university, and they were mostly only 6-hour shifts, like sometimes 8 hours, but like even those, I remember like the first couple of weeks felt like freaking forever, and I go home and I was like, my legs are like noodles. I'm never gonna feel them again. But then like a good like couple, like 2 or so weeks went by, and eventually like it came to be, it's like, whoa, it's 10 o'clock already. Wow, that time just flew on by. Yeah, and that really equated to a lot of other things where now if you're at some sort of like 3-hour lecture and you have to do like a 4 or 5 hour study session with people afterwards, before that I would have been like, no, my arm's gonna be like noodles by the end of that. Do you not understand the noodles? But now I'm like, yeah, go on, let's go for it. Screw you, noodles.
Linked to what Sabrina was saying, also like with customer service, I think like my first job helped me to don't take things too seriously, because I was kind of in a call center. I was calling people to sell services in a language I was not even really good at. It was in Spanish, and I was shit in Spanish. So it was really hard, because like you have to do like 50 calls per day. Sometimes like the 50 calls are fuck you. And after 3 months, at the beginning I was really like sad, like with all the no all the time. And I started to like get over that. And I think in the customer service, or when you are facing people, the first experience are kind of hard. And more you facing those people, and you become like immune to those kind of things.
Even in my job too, I'm like constantly getting rejected, or like you have to like greet people at the door, but they completely ignore you. I've had experiences like that. I feel like that translated well into like my daily life now, because I understand that like other people working in customer service, like they just have to reach out to you. So if you're not interested, like I typically won't respond as well, because that actually is a normal response, if that makes sense. So like for my friends, if they get like reached out to by a person and they're not even remotely interested in the product, they'll still stay to listen. But like it's gotten easier for me to like politely decline and just like move on, because like then I learned and I understand like, oh, this is just like a regular thing that happens within like the industry. It's like not a big deal.
Yeah. Also, I guess like any negative interactions you might have with a customer, especially if they are, they're pulling like a Karen or like something like that, you definitely learn how to take it less personally, because it's just all a part of the job, and it just kind of comes with the territory.
Sure.
Plus, at the end of the day, you get paid for it. So
I feel like that could be the moral of this whole podcast. Hey, at the end of the day, you get paid for it.
money.
Throughout all my like jobs that I had before, I would say it made me more extroverted in a way, because I was really shy and introverted. I wouldn't talk to people first. But then when I started working, because I did some tutoring at university, and I started working at Canada Create. So I had to like talk to people, conduct some interviews, and just I think it's kind of made my interpersonal skills stronger.
How do you guys think that job prospects have been affected because of COVID?
Mm.
I believe that's how it's been affected. I feel like no matter what industry you are in, no matter what job you were holding before, you're going to be facing a lot of bumps and hits in the road from now on. Like the pandemic hitting, I think the job, like no one quite is in the job market is safe.
It's definitely harder to I guess for people who are already established and like kind of have like that job security, like most of them are able to hold on to it, but I feel like definitely for people, oh my gosh, even the fresh graduates of this year, like definitely not going to be as easy as in other years. I mean, it's never easy, but
yeah. I agree softly with your point on seniority. I feel like if someone has been there for like at any sort of institution for a while, that definitely makes them stand a little bit higher than the intern who had just been hired like 2 months ago. But I don't know. Seniority is kind of I don't know. It's a platform made of very like unstable clay. You know, like if any sort of pressures or water or any sort of effect comes in, any sort of harsh times, it'll melt away a lot faster than anyone would think. So like I said, like it's not just like the entry level people who are going to be affected by this. You know, whole industries are going to shut down. And when whole industries shut down, people from the very bottom of the ladder to the very top, who's been in the boss's chair for the last 30 years, are going to be thrown out on the street.
I mean, yeah, I guess when I was thinking about established, I wasn't thinking so much like seniority as opposed to like just competence level. So if you've kind of like worked long enough and you're in an industry long enough and you've kind of proven that you have the skills and you've been consistently turning it out, then I think a lot of people in that situation at least are more or less okay. Yeah. But definitely it does create an opportunity where if there are like higher ups who've just kind of been there and not like really picked up their slack.
I would say especially with like in regards to like the web or like jobs on the web where things are constantly changing, it could be like really scary too, because even if you have seniority, even if you have like a lot of knowledge and like skills of the job, like especially right now where everything's like all in whack, you still have to continue to learn.
I definitely agree with the learning aspect of it. I was reading a really interesting article a while back when I was researching for something that was talking about the COVID and the upcoming recession. And they said something really on point, I thought, which was recessions are essentially eras where the population adapts and learns how to take advantage of the new technologies available to them. So a lot of people are probably going to continue working home more. A lot more industries that involve like public gatherings or just people clumped in a lot of places all at once are probably going to take a big hit, if not be wiped off the map. People are probably going to live in different places. And the important thing is that we got to work as hard as we can day by day to learn where the economy is going, because the sooner that we realize it, the sooner we have better understanding of where we're going from here. That's when we'll be back up on our feet.
I totally agree with the whole aspect of like changing cultures in jobs, especially because of COVID. I have a couple guesses myself. I think probably like no touch technologies are going to come up like more and more, because COVID isn't going to disappear within like the next couple months. So people are going to probably be developing those like technologies. And yeah, as you said before too, more working from home and just like hopefully having better like virtual meetings, or like being able to like hold virtual meetings more like efficiently. I think there was a lot of during this time too.
Oh yeah, I wrote an article recently that that COVID-19 is going to do to like work at home technologies what World War I did to the airplane. It's going to progress it by 20 years in only about the span of 1 or 2 years.
Because it's pretty urgent too, and we do need it. in our current situation.
Oh yeah, well again, that's probably one of the biggest effects we can expect to see from COVID in the job market, and just generally how the economy works, is that this was the big thing that pushed a lot of people who weren't exactly technophiles or people who were in a higher up age group to get online and use more like online communication software before. Like when beforehand you couldn't have seen a lot of people, like a good portion, like maybe half of the population, you wouldn't see them get anywhere close to Zoom. They're like, ugh, Zoom, oh, you millennials and all your crap. And then you cut through them now. They're like, okay, so 9 o'clock, sure thing. I'll click on the link right at 8:45, and I'll bring scones. Peter, how many times we can't eat the scones that you're making, but it's cinnamon on top, Peter. It's a learning. It's a step-by-step process.
I think it's also going to change the process like all the what we learn. Like for instance, I study like business for 5 years now, and the digitalization yeah, wasn't really into the program. And I'm lucky because thanks to Canada Create, I've been able to discover a little bit more about digital marketing and everything, do deeper research and everything. But I think it's going to be something mandatory into the next years, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and now all my friends, we are starting to look for a job, and it's pretty hard. And I think the fact that maybe I got this digitalized experience is gonna be a little plus, because like for now, like we don't, and my friend me, I didn't start yet, but they don't find jobs because all the hiring are frozen.
I guess like with all the changes that are currently happening and stuff that we're predicting, what kind of resources and networks have you used to either do your jobs from home, or what do you anticipate using to like find jobs in the future?
I think LinkedIn, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. I happen to be lucky because in my university and in my program, we've gotten a lot more emails of opportunities. So it's kind of like we're being spoon-fed these kind of things. But in my university program, I already knew during the 3rd and 4th year, they typically have networking events too that they're currently moving online. So I'll probably going to like take a look at that in the future, but even like joining student groups as well. Like currently I'm trying to find my way within like my university community, and I've had like a couple interviews online too.
I mean, just in general, hopping off like your networking like discussion and like their school helping you out, how do people here feel about networking? Is it something you enjoy doing to kind of get ahead, or is it like a necessary evil that you got to do what you got to do?
What, meeting people? No, God.
Yeah.
It's always been taught to me as like a mandatory thing. So I don't know if I really have my own opinion on it, because I don't think I really networked like super seriously. Like all the opportunities I've had like kind of fell into my lap. So it's not like I like really, really, really went out there and like try to hunt for something. But I don't think I would enjoy it, because you always have to like remain professional. And it's almost like putting on an act, like constantly, and being like careful what you say, and like trying to meet the right people and trying not to waste their time or your time, stuff like that. So I think it'll be something in the future that'll be like something that will be like difficult to navigate, but mandatory.
But wasting other people's time is one of my biggest talents. Yeah, no. When it comes to networking, I don't really think I've really tracked down anyone big. The thing I've just been thinking about networking is you got to pick who you really go after. You got to pick like, you know, when it comes to networking, like the only people who are ever really going to differentiate, like really change your career path, are the big fish, not like the little fish. And what I mean by that was put out really well. I was reading this guide to just like making your own independent films a while back, and there was a really great bit in there about where they were talking very much like you have to make your own feature-length film. You have to push really hard to put in festivals, and feature length was very important in what they were saying, because when it comes to networking, if you make a very short, a classic like short film, put into a festival, a lot of people will tell you, oh, that's a really good networking opportunity, but not as much as you think. Because when you make feature-length films and push it into any sort of like festivals or events that are going on near you, that'll bring you in contact with a lot of people who work on feature films, who are producers for film companies across the country, and are actually able to provide publishing deals. Whereas, generally speaking, if you make a short film and put it out into a festival, you'll be surrounded by other people who make short films, who frankly do not usually have anywhere as much of the publishing power, as much as the experience as people who work in the feature film market. It's a sad statement, but it's true. And it tells you, I feel like that's a pretty good metaphor for almost any kind of job that you work at. Like, you can sort of hover around other people who are at the same stage of a career path as you, who don't really have the power to bring you to too many like new big places, or you can really push up higher and get yourself out there chatting and networking with people who are, the higher ups, the people who are the bosses, the people who have, for lack of a better term, for lack of any other better term, the real power,
I will say though that depending on like who you talk to, you don't know where they're going to end up in a few years.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well,
So
I'm not saying the next 18-year-old like Bill Gates is like sitting right in front of you, you just go like, that kid will never go anywhere. But there's also, you never quite know where they're gonna go.
Me, what really bothered me is just like the first contact with the people. Just like I've been like, yeah, like do you into the books or the movie, like they are like, hey, yeah, they start with a silly jokes and they start like talking about business, and yeah, I'm like, but what I'm gonna say hello, like I'm scared that an awkward situation is going to happen and I don't know what to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
To put a positive spin on it, we kind of gotta find our own thing that makes us like the main character. Like, I'm pretty sure we all have like our own specialized skill. And, like, that's like going into interviewing and stuff too, to really like be able to show your skill. Like, if you have one, or like developing one, or like going through that stuff. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, like once everyone's kind of figured out what they're good at, and like as you kind of like work towards it and network, like what would you say your dream job is?
I never really thought like of a dream career like as a job title until like I got into university and I like realized there's so many different job titles. Like, I always thought I was just gonna go into marketing. I didn't know like there was digital marketing and social media marketing and like all these type of things. But strangely, my dream is the one that like I think a lot of people don't want. It's probably just working at like a nice little office, like a nice little mindless 9 to 5. I think, strangely enough, I know it sounds like terrible to say, and it's probably like terrible to say in job interviews.
I was just gonna say that's sad, because you're the only one of us who hasn't been at the Canada Create office yet.
Oh, true. Yeah. So I don't know.
Dream has eluded you this whole time.
How do you guys feel about the office? Well, I guess.
Oh, because the office is so much fun too, right? You got that cool, like flashy, like bright lights and so many cool props hanging out, and like, yeah, and like, and we have that Ariana, we have that side room where we've done this photo shoots before.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool. It's like,
and there's someone asking for Tim Horton all 5 minutes.
Yeah,
true.
Tim Hortons, right down the street.
That sounds fun. I'm gonna be sad like I won't be able to like experience like office life with like you guys.
Yeah.
I really think like some way, somehow, like even if it's like a trip over there for like 5 minutes, we should like go to the office at some point, but with what's left of the summer.
My boyfriend, they're gonna open the office in January 2021.
Ooh, yeah, I've been hearing that for some places.
Yeah.
Like it's almost 1 year at home. and you don't know what's gonna happen next.
Oh, how do you guys feel about working at home for like a possible career in the future?
Yeah, I think I would like at least like 2 or 3 days in an office just to have interaction with people and talk to other people.
Yeah, just when it comes to working at home, my thought on that has always been like, sounds really nice, but I don't trust myself. So I don't know if I could ever do it like as a full career, especially if you wanted me to hop into my dream job for just a second, it's always sort of hop back and forth in a lot of things, usually like movie or like show businessy. But the one I've landed on a lot recently is that I want to become a producer. And part of the reason I really like that idea is that it's a job where you're pretty much always in motion. I don't know, like very, very static jobs have always kind of scared me because I just sort of have that fear of like being at like that one chair in that one desk in that one office. Sorry, Sabrina, for like until I'm like 60, and I just don't like the idea of that.
That's understandable. I think most people have that kind of mindset.
Not even that I don't like the desk or the office environment. I do. I'm just saying, like I don't. Yeah, I just I want like some extracurriculars if we're talking about dream jobs.
I guess there's like pros and cons to both sides though. Do you guys consider yourselves people who would make sacrifices to advance in your career ladder in your personal lives, or are you more about maintaining like a proper work-life balance?
So pretty much you're asking us if when we're 30 and our boss is railing on us to get that presentation done by Monday, and then our little kid Billy comes up to us, is like, "Mommy, Daddy, are you coming to my baseball game this Friday?" You're pretty much asking us if we're gonna go like, "I'll see you there, champ," or "Not today, son. I've got work to do." Is that what you're asking?
Not that much.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like not like super that extreme, but
That's
like,
exactly what you're asking, though. It's making personal sacrifices.
well, if you consider that a personal sacrifice, then
Of course,
yeah.
I want to be at little Billy's baseball game. He just learned to hit without the tee. This is an important time for him.
So, are you more work-life balance?
I really, the thing is that you really don't know whether you're that kind of person until it happens. It obviously isn't quite as black and white as that instance. A lot of times it's just missing out on like little moments, or even just like spending like the amount of hours you spend at work versus home. I think like any sort of like any sort of thing, like it builds up over time. If you make enough like little mini sacrifices, it eventually builds up to you really having the mindset that work is the most important thing of all time, and things like friends and family take a back seat. But it happens over time. So I feel like in a lot of ways, like your average person, I imagine most of us will really build up a sort of balance between that, where yes, we'll make sacrifices, but but fingers crossed, we'll be able to know the really important moments to push work off just for a little while. So I'd say most of us probably going to wind up in the middle, not to make assumptions.
Like, I remember it was in December. I was in my negotiation class, and one of the students, she was like, how can I negotiate to left my job on time? Because like the person, they were like, she had to stay a little bit to do job, and she was like, no, it's written I have to leave at 5, and she wanted to know how to ask to stay. And we had all this conversation in class, like if that were really bothering for us to stay more than like 30 minutes every day and not being paid. And I thought, because we're young and we're all studying business, everybody will be like, no, it's okay to work a little bit more now. We're gonna learn even if we are not paid, and after we are going to progress. Like, if you prove that you do your job, is the best way to progress on the company. And I was surprised to see that like more than half of my classes, they were like, it's a 9 to, like, the teacher asked if it's a 9 to 5 jobs, does it bother you like to stay more? And like half of the classes were like, yes. And me, I was like super strange. I thought like you studied business is more like in the Wolf of Wall Street, like you work hard. So me, that would not bother me because like for the moment I don't have a Billy yet. I don't have any Billy or other kids. So for the moment I prefer to get focused. That doesn't bother me.
I do agree with Chloe actually, because okay, so when I was an intern at Canada Crate, I had to stay for like a little bit longer after 5. Like and every like all the other interns, they were rushing back home without completing any tasks. Um, but then I think because I stayed like for a little bit longer, I think that's why they decided to make me stay here after my internship. So as Chloe said, so it shows that you're working hard and eventually later on it will like benefit you in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like with what Ben said about just being in the middle. And I think a good rule of thumb for that is like I know for me personally, I want to just work my butt off now, but then not so much to a point where I'm stuck in a cycle of having to just always make sacrifices or be expected to make sacrifices, but I want to work hard enough that I can put myself in a position that like when I do have kids and my own family and I have to make those important decisions, like I'm established enough that I can do that and there can be that like boundary, I guess.
There's always going to be more work, Ariana. There's
Yeah,
always going to be that next bump, that next thing you're shooting for.
We are
And I'm
gonna
not saying that
work
working
all
really hard right now isn't good, but just yeah, it's about I think learning how to find that perfect balance is definitely about like I said, like finding those occasional times where you can step back.
This wraps up our episode on jobs. Next week, we'll be back at the table having a discussion all about style in quarantine. Anyways, if you haven't already, we are on Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram at the CC Zone, so follow us there. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.